Hey guys, so this has been probably my most requested video since I started this channel back up a few weeks ago, and this is about Malfurion, specifically how to carry to Masters or even higher by playing Malfurion. Now, as of right now, the current date is, what is it, like April 5th? Malfurion is the strongest support in the game. In pro play, he is picked about, I would say, his popularity says 48%, but I just want to show you guys a quick example of some of the previous pro matches, and I want to show you really quick. Tell me a game that you don't see Malfurion. Malfurion on one side, Malfurion on this side, Malfurion. Look, like, just tell me a game that you don't see Malfurion. I honestly would be amazed to find one, and I apologize for if any spoilers here. Malfurion is being played in every single pro matchup right now, and it is absolutely insane how strong Malfurion is right now. The problem with Malfurion is that his skill level went from being an easy to play support that was good for all players to being one of the most difficult and mechanically challenging supports in the game. And the reason that this happened was because he got certain abilities, which his regrowth made it to where it doesn't initially heal anymore. It lasts a lot longer, and he gets most of his healing from landing moonfires on the enemies. And you heal more per each enemy hero hit. As well as they increase the mana cost of his entangling roots by a lot. I mean, it's about the same mana as his ultimate abilities. So, he's changed considerably from what he was before, but he's still a lot of the same Malfurion that you remember, as well as he is a very, very powerful support. So I have two games that I want to show you guys. The first game, I got requested a little bit to show people how to play characters in lower ranks as well as in higher ranks. So the first game that I'm going to show you is Malfurion in a game with platinum players. And the second game I'm going to show you is Malfurion in a game with pro players. I am going to be playing Malfurion in both games, and my hope is to show you that you need to play with different playstyles based off of what rank you're in. And that's how you carry up to Masters, is by adjusting to the people around you. Because if I played as aggressive as I did in this first game, in the Masters game, I would be destroyed very, very quickly. So in Masters game, it's more about making less mistakes, and in Platinum and lower, it's more about opening up more opportunities for your team. So I'm going to show you both examples, but first, let's go over the Malfurion builds that I recommend. So to start off, let's look at HOTS logs for a second, and I'm going to go to Master Diamond Plat, as well as, let's go the last like 3 weeks, and I want to show essentially what talents have high win rates, and I'm going to explain why and when to pick them. So the first and the highest win rate is Celestial Alignment. It makes it to where your Moonfire reveals longer, and it empowers the auto attacks you do to the enemy. It is a really high win rate, but I don't recommend it. And the reason why I don't recommend it, and there's only one situation where I recommend it, and in that one situation, it is an amazing ability, which is if you're having to solo lane as Malfurion when you have a second healer. And the reason the win percentage is so high is because Malfurion, with a lot of damage, thrives with a second healer. So I recommend it only in that situation. Every other situation, I recommend Nature's Swiftness, and I'll explain over 100 reasons why Nature's Swiftness is the best option, and why when you learn why it's the best option, you will win more with Nature's Swiftness than you will with Celestial Alignment. Next is the level 4. Level 4, there are two options here. And when you are trying to do Hero League, I highly recommend Vengeful Roots, as it allows you to add more damage to teamfights, and it makes it easier to carry. There's only a couple reasons why I would say don't get Vengeful Roots, and that is if the enemies can destroy your Treant on accident. That's the only time I recommend not getting Vengeful Roots in Hero League. In Team League, I recommend Deep Roots. I think it's a must. Alright, there are still situations for Vengeful Roots. I'm just giving a general ballpark, and you can adjust this based off of your own preferences. Then there is your level 7. Now, I want to go back to level 1 for a second because there's Shando's Clarity, right? Now, this is actually one of my favorite talents if you can combine it with Revitalize, because it makes it to where your Innervate also benefits Malfurion, which means that you get your cooldowns lowered as well as you gain mana back. With your cooldowns lowered, that means you can have more regrowths out, and this says regrowths increase Innervate's cooldown rate. Well, it kind of works back and forth. You have infinite mana and low cooldown, so you can get more regrowths out, which means that you have more regrowths out, which lowers the cooldown of your Innervate, which means you have more mana, which means so it bounces back and forth. But you can only do this in very, very specific comps. And if you do both of these, it is a very strong combo. And I'll explain when we get to level 13 talents when you can do this. So level 7, I honestly love all three of these talents. So I don't want to just immediately say, oh, get Wild Growth every single time guaranteed, but I also don't want to say, oh, get Nature's Cure if they have CCs that are annoying, because Nature's Cure actually kind of sucks. I like to get Nature's Cure against Ring of Frost every time, but otherwise Wild Growth has a lot of value, and Tenacious Roots not only resets the cooldown of your root when you get stunned, but it also increases the effect of Entangling Roots. So, I like this talent more than a lot of people like this talent, but I don't often get it just because I like Wild Growth as well. So all level 7 talents, in my opinion, are extremely viable, but if you're not sure what to get, Nature's Cure's very good if you see like a Ring of Frost on the enemy team or specific abilities that are long duration abilities. Remember that this is not a cleanse. Cleanse would make someone unstoppable for 1 second. However, this is a remove disables, and it removes roots and stuns. So it's not as strong as Cleanse, but it also works on everyone that you have regrowth on. So if you have 3 people that get hit by a Ring of Frost, you can activate this as long as they've got regrowths on them, and it nullifies the effect of Ring of Frost. However, if you're not sure what to pick on level 7, I highly recommend Wild Growth as it works in the most situations. Now to level 10. There is only a few times where I would recommend Tranquility over Twilight Dream. And the main thing that I look for is how long the fights are going to last and what healer is on the enemy's team. Let's say, for example, your team picks 2 tanks and their team picks 2 tanks, and they pick a Rhaegar and you pick Malfurion, of course. Well, Rhaegar only has so much healing, so as long as you can survive the initial burst from their assault, which with double tanks you probably will, Tranquility is going to make sure that you last longer in the fight, and you're always going to win a fight against a team comp like that. If you're not sure what to get, I highly recommend Twilight Dream. It's a surprisingly large AoE that does a surprisingly high amount of damage and silences for, once again, a surprising amount of time. So, Twilight Dream is amazing, and I think it's one of the main things that allows you to win in higher level play. Down to level 13, Ice Block is a must if they have dive heroes. It becomes picked pretty much every time, but if they have dive heroes or if they have a strong initiate, something that's going to interrupt people or lock people down, like a Kerrigan, for example, you can Ice Block the pull and you will stay alive and you'll end up leading your team to victory, right? In pro games, I find that I die a bunch before I get Ice Block, and the second that I get Ice Block, most of my deaths fall off. And that's what I'm going to show you is in the game that I was playing with and against pro players. Hindering Moonfire is okay, but the problem is that you're already going to be moving faster than the enemies with Nature's Swiftness, so I don't really like Hindering Moonfire because I can always just move faster than them and then use a root, and I don't need that. So I go for Revitalize to give myself lower cooldowns as well as infinite mana, or I go for Ice Block if I'm going to be, if they have a dive comp or anything I need to worry about. Level 16. Here's the thing that people don't understand about the level 16 area is increasing Moonfire's area also increases the chance you hit multiple people with W, which means that this doesn't just increase the regrowth's duration, it doesn't just increase the chance you're going to hit one person with Moonfire, but increases the chance you'll hit multiple enemies with Moonfire, which increases the amount of healing that you do, more so than Moonfire heals more per allies affected by regrowth. While this talent is very good, this one ends up just being better in almost every scenario. When should you pick Ysera's Gift, though? In my opinion, Ysera's Gift is one of the strongest talents if all the enemies are damage over time. Let's say they, for whatever reason, pick Malthael and Lunara as their damage dealers and the rest are tanks. This alone will nullify all of their damage, and you just won the game. You can combine that with Tranquility to make sure that people are topped off at the point that Ysera's Gift gets its extra healing, and it's a free win. All right? Level 20, it really comes down to what you prefer. The highest healing and the highest damage is going to be Lunar Shower. Against high poke that you can't get near, like Chromie team, Life Bloom is going to be the next strongest. And then if you have a dive comp, I highly recommend the ability to teleport in and cast Twilight Dream. If you pick Tranquility, picking Serenity is okay, but I would still pick Lunar Shower with Tranquility over Serenity because it adds more damage as well as it's more healing, and it keeps them higher up for Ysera's Gift. So, essentially, to go over the build of what I recommend if you know nothing else, if you don't want to you don't want to adjust this yet, you just want to get a quick build to get you to win the game, Nature Swiftness into Vengeful Roots only if they have nothing that can destroy your tree on accident. If not, Deep Roots. Level 7, pick Wild Growth or Nature's Cure if they have CC. Level 10, I recommend Twilight Dream. Level 13, Ice Block. Level 16, Nature's Balance. Level 20, Lunar Shower. All right. Let's go into the pro. I want to explain what they ended up choosing. And this is essentially the pro build that is most popular, which is Nature's Swiftness into Deep Roots into Nature's Cure, Twilight Dream, Ice Block, Nature's Balance, followed by Astral Communion. Does that build sound kind of familiar? It's very similar to mine. We can move down a little bit to show a variation of the build using Vengeful Roots in a variety of these. But again, it's a little bit situational, and in Team League, you don't usually need that extra damage. So you can see the win rates of picking Vengeful Roots is actually much lower than the win rates of picking Deep Roots. So if you're in Team League, I highly recommend Deep Roots. If you're trying to carry in Hero League, that's when you want some Vengeful Roots because the DPS stacks up pretty fast. So with that in mind, we're already 12 minutes into this video. I want to get into these guides, show you what it's like to play in Platinum first and then play against pros next. And again, if you have other playstyles for Malfurion, that's okay. It's perfectly fine. This is just my build guide of what I've found works and kind of my general idea. So the first thing I want to talk about is regrowth. And this becomes the hardest part of Malfurion is who to regrowth and when. I kind of have like a weird... I really like to tell people it all comes down to practice and adaptation, but I have this weird rule that I personally always like to regrowth the tank first, and then I go to a dive hero second, and I follow up with anyone else who needs healing third. And then I bounce back to the tank, and then the dive hero, and then again who needs healing. And I go in that order every time, and that's kind of my favorite way of doing it. Before you start a fight, it's always recommended to get some regrowths out because the fight will go off first. And once the fight goes off, you don't have time to cast regrowths out because that is a 5-second cooldown, which means only one person's going to get saved, right? So I highly recommend getting regrowths out before fights start. First regrowth goes off on... Is it not going to show me? Did I already screw it up? Oh, well, that's going to be unfortunate. Okay, first regrowth goes off on... oh, I did an innervate first. And that's another thing you can do. If you have a Chromie, you can activate your Innervate to reduce her cooldowns and give her more mana, allowing her to poke earlier in these fights. So my first regrowth goes off on the tank, of course. My next one would go against a dive hero. We don't really have a low health dive hero, so I don't go for that next. I simply wait to see who's low health. Which Varian got hit by something, so I could toss it on him, but we were missing Soak bottom. Remember that this game is a Platinum game. All right, so people aren't initially going to lanes to soak. We do have one person that does, but sometimes you have to take that upon yourself to do that. So I told in voice chat, I said, hey, head down there. We want to make sure that we get that. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I apologize. There might be a little bit of chatting going on. I'm talking to a few people about the video that I'm making and another video that I've already put out. So there will be a little bit of chatting. All right. So I moved down here, and the reason that I moved down here is because Greymane has no self-sustain, and Muradin has self-sustain, but the problem is that he only has so much to stop us. So I come down here and I say, hey, we can kill this Greymane. And this dude doesn't believe me, so he's a little bit cautious. Yeah, he's a little bit cautious on this. So I usually recommend that if you practice playing really aggressive with Malfurion, then I don't know where he's going with this, but yeah, if you're good with Malfurion or you want to practice with him, play really aggressive to find out what you can and can't do. I already knew we could win this fight, so I tell him to go in. He's not really sure about it, but I still tell him to go in. All right. So I'm intertwining auto attacks with my W's because I always want to make sure that we're getting extra damage off. So you saw I did 94 damage with my W and 62 damage with my auto attack. It's small, but it's going to add up, and I'll show you. It adds up pretty quickly. We're getting a lot of damage off. He jumps in on us. This is the problem in Plat. They don't know what fights they can win, and they don't know what fights they can't win. So he jumps in immediately, and I know that I can win this fight. There's a quote, I believe this is from Sun Tzu as well, from The Art of War, and I did another video with this, but there's a quote that says, if you know thyself and you know thy enemy, you have already won. And with that same quote in mind, I knew how much damage I can do and how much healing I could do, as well as I play a lot of Greymane, so I know exactly how much damage the enemy Greymane can do, so I have already won this battle. There is nothing that he can do to win this battle, as well as I already know the damage that Malfurion can do. So I've already won. He's already lost. So that's what we do. I stay in, I position so that the Varian can take a couple hits for me, as well as I position back because if Greymane wants to stay in wolf form, he's going to have to jump into tower range to kill me, which I know he doesn't want to do that. I also get a chunk of healing here because I hit 2 people with the W. So, actually, I think that W only hit 1. I do another one later. Again, I still know how much damage everyone can do, and this is where Varian gets a little scared and he wants to leave, and I say, no, we can still win this fight. I know I can land a W on both of these, and I want to show you guys how much of a chunk of healing hitting W on 2 different people can do. Watch Varian's health. He went from 20% health to 50% health immediately. I still think we can win this fight. I already know what's on cooldown, but Diablo decides he wants to help, and we get the kill. So you need to play aggressive with Malfurion to understand what you can and can't do so that you can lead to those kills early game. By the way, I got that killing blow. I want to explain. This game, I get a surprising amount of kills. It's great. All right, here, I tell him to get back, because we can't fight this, and Garrosh has throws, and he could throw them into turret range, which means that Varian will definitely die. Also, we're losing Soak bottom, so I don't want to stay here for very long. Of course, he gets thrown. I cannot save him, but I can give it a shot by throwing a... Remember, you want to be rooting people where they're going and not where they are. And I know where they're going. Varian's going to come down this direction. They're going to follow him this direction. The problem is there's no way I can save Varian because Muradin can hop in over here, and Varian's definitely dead. So my best bet is to land a W, which I do, and toss down a root, which I do. Sadly, I'm silenced for my next W, so I can't save him. Now I need to get bottom lane so that I can soak. So that's my first thought, right? I go bottom lane for soak. This fight here, there's nothing we can do. I don't want to waste too much mana, so I probably won't go for an Entangling Roots. I'll just simply auto-attack, get W's off, get a regrowth on him, and then go mid lane and start helping Kuromi out, which is what I do. Again, if you don't see that you can get a kill, there is no point in staying, because this, and no point in using Entangling Roots either. I did coaching for another person who did Malfurion, and I found that he kept using Entangling Roots all the time, and he was always out of mana. But if you watch me play, you'll notice that I'm rarely ever out of mana, and it's because I make sure to only use the low mana abilities, because if you look, Regrowth's 35 mana, Moonfire's 10 mana, and Entangling Roots is 75 mana. With your mana regen, including globes, you'll never run out of mana only using Q and W. Alright, there's nothing I can do here, so I go mid lane. I simply stay in lane. I use W's to clear up the thing a little bit. Malfurion's wave clear is really low. Alright, so what were my rules for picking Vengeful Roots over Deep Roots? Vengeful Roots, I said, can they kill your Treant on accident? Who do they have on their team? A Q might do it, but it most likely won't because he's going to be focusing on us. Tychus, maybe a Q. Again, not too big of a deal. And their tank's not really, and Tychus not really. I would recommend Vengeful Roots in this situation. The people that I recommend not picking it against is like a Rhaegar, a Blaze, because Rhaegar's W is going to kill it on accident. A Blaze's Fire is going to kill it on accident. An Arthas, a Dahaka, people that just accidentally kill it because of giant AoEs that are constantly dealing damage. They don't really have that. Because if I landed on these 3 people, they're likely dead anyways without using their abilities. And if I landed on these 2, they don't have anything to easily kill it. So, I would get Vengeful Roots in this situation. I don't remember what I get. I get Vengeful Roots. Okay. Again, this is one of those. I'm going to back up just a little bit. I sped it up. I didn't realize I was doing this. So, what do? I put a regrowth on people, which means that I'm now moving 4 to 8 to 12% faster than the enemies. Meaning, if I see an opportunity that we can go for a kill, I always will move faster than the enemies. So if I'm here and I want to root Garrosh, I can always get him because I can move faster than him, and I can throw a root in front of where he's going. So in this situation, there's not enough for us to kill anyone right now, so I don't really go for anything too crazy, right? There's no point. But when he gets thrown, I need to land a root. I already have a regrowth going, and another rule that I like to look at for regrowth is if you're not really used to knowing who needs a regrowth, I look at this little bar right here, and in this case it's because I just got a globe that I have that little bar, but that bar will show up for regrowth as well, and that bar means that that's how much you're going to be healing. So you can put a regrowth on someone, and you'll know how long it's been on them based off how long that bar is. Okay, in this situation, I move faster than him, so I can move up and root. There's nothing I can really do other than just get a free stack, and it allows Varian to leave. I'm telling Varian in this situation there's nothing we can do to win this fight, because Stukov's going to out-heal the damage myself and Varian can do. So, we shouldn't be able to get a kill here. However, we do have Chromie coming in, which might allow us to lead to a kill. And we don't. So, again, I kept backing up because of this. I was telling Varian there's no way we can kill this guy, as well as there's no reason to be that close because we're going to get hit by a tower. In this situation, there's nothing I can do. If I want to destroy a wall, I would need to do 1700 damage. Just to double check, I can click on a wall. Oh, I can't do that on this style of replay. But yeah, the walls have 1700 health for a side wall or 4300 health for a main wall. You can look this stuff up later. That's all fine. So I know there's no way I can do that alone. The most I can do is 105 damage or auto attacks for like 90 damage. There's no way I can do 1700 damage before he dies based off all the towers. So I go for one more W. I know that his throw's already down, and then I just leave. Right? There's nothing I can do. So I just back up. I want to go to soak lane, so I come down here to see if Diablo needs any help. He does not. So I just kind of help him out. I let him roam so that maybe he can get a kill with Chromie mid lane. As well as I stay down here just to soak. I realize that we're fighting, so I leave because neither of us are close to 7. If one of us is close to 7, I would have stayed to soak for longer. But because neither of us are close to 7, I decide to help the team out first. I get regrowths on first, and you can see I'm immediately positioning to where I can get a root here. The reason why is because if I can get a root here, after a throw goes off, we automatically got 2 kills. So I position so that I can get a root. If not, I get a root in the direction they're going that's a little bit safer and further from the towers. I also tell them, let's try to stay away. I don't know if he did throw because I was walking up here, so I don't know. Garrosh went back in for a second, so again, I don't want to be too close to this, and I stay back. Okay, in these situations, they know that a time trap just went down right there, so they're all going to be coming around this direction. This is a good place to toss a root if you just want to delay them for a little bit. However, I'm usually someone who I want to land a root on someone that we can get a kill on. So I may not place a root there just yet. In higher ranks, you'll notice that I place more roots just to stall people, but in lower ranks, I try to save my roots to lead to kills. So you can see I don't place one there yet. Now, I don't want to get thrown. As Malfurion, the more regrowths you can set out without needing to put one on yourself, the more beneficial you are. Because if you have to always rotate onto yourself, you're wasting one regrowth. I have a regrowth on all 3 of our allies right before the fight begins. So this fight is pretty much already my fight. It's pretty much an easy fight. As long as Tychus stays up there, it's a really good fight for us. And even if Tychus comes down, I have a lot of healing going out. So I knew that Diablo is going to head to interrupt Stukov, which means that the silence would end and I can walk back in. It's okay if I get flipped now, but I also shouldn't get flipped because Varian's not going to get stunned and he can walk in front so that I won't get flipped, which is exactly what happens. Now I want to position myself to where I can root so that Garrosh can't get away. He gets taunted, then stunned against the wall. I place the root here. Even though I still see this happening, I see 2 people who could come in and save Garrosh, right? He's time trapped, but these 2 have knockbacks, they have stuns, they have everything else. We want to make sure that Garrosh dies. And I also don't want to place... I see a lot of people place roots immediately where someone gets stunned. I don't want Diablo to flip him back and then have him outside of my root. So if I place a root here, there's only one direction that Garrosh can go to get away, and he'll be in my root. At the same time, I'm zoning out these 2 areas. Make sure that when you place it Entangling Roots, it's a high mana ability. You don't want to waste it on dumb things. So I place the root there. I get the root off on him. Even if Diablo would have flipped him over here, he still would have gotten rooted. No matter what happened with Diablo or my team, I landed this root, right? And I got the root on him, and Tychus is actually worried because he doesn't want to get caught in the root. So it just completely stops Tychus's damage. He just leaves, right? Which gets us a lot of damage for free. I still have regrowths rotating. I'm still getting heals off on my team. Easy, I mean a good 20 seconds in that fight. Even though we didn't get a kill, we still won about 20 seconds of that fight. They're coming in again. What just happened? We have a time trap here. What does that tell me? That tells me that we're going to have a fight in here, all right? Or we're going to have a fight over here. It depends on which direction they want to go. If the enemies are dumb, they're going to walk into this time trap, and I follow up with a root, we guarantee a kill. If they're smart, they're going to come in through here, and I have one root going there. If they're really smart, they're going to rotate over behind us, and I can root in here, and we can back down here and fight them closer to our towers. So those are the 3 options the enemies have, and I am prepared for each one of them. We have a silence going out. I look at the situation, I go, do we have people close enough to interrupt? No, we don't. So I'm going to walk up this direction to get out of the silence the fastest. Alright? Now, I have a few choices here. This silence is going to stay for a while because the closest that we have is Varian, and he can be tossed away. And we have these 2, which means that this fight is really going to just back out for a little bit. So I choose not to help these 3 in here, as they can go back and they can hit their fountain or they can do whatever, and they're not going to die in here. I choose to help out this guy who is bold. This Zul wants blood. So I choose to help him out. I get the W off first because I want to make sure to get one last heal before the regrowth ends there. And then I want to get a regrowth onto Zul, which I get a regrowth onto Zul. And I want to make sure that Greymane dies, so I do auto attack, and then I do a W. I get the kill because I'm Malfurion, and Malfurion likes blood. Now here's another situation. If he lands a root, he's dead. Otherwise, he can just E out, and there's nothing we can do. I don't have root up for a while. So if this Tychus is smart, there's no way that I can kill him, and it's just going to be a waste of my time. I want to get back down to my team and help them out. As you can see, I leave. The Tychus is not as good as I thought, but we don't go for him. He might be really good. He might have still had his E up ready to dodge, so I'm not going to call him bad or anything. If I was that Tychus, I would have immediately dodged, grabbed a fountain, and came back into the fight. In this situation, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm going... Diablo has a regrowth on him. I can try to heal. However, they are likely going to be able to kill that Diablo very quickly. What talents did he get? So far, so good. Everything's in an awkward position. We also don't have any mana on Chromie, so my best bet is to get some mana on Chromie, try to get a double hit on my W to get a burst heal on Diablo, And I don't know if I do that. I think I simply just go for a W on Garrosh, which I do. I get the safe heal, honestly. And I don't get an Innervate off in Chromie, which lowers the damage we do. We lose Diablo. I have enough mana for one root. And Garrosh is already low with a root on him. I would likely just follow up the Zool root with my own root. As I do, what I did was also something that you can do. If the Zool root's going out, but you're afraid that you're going to get stunned by someone, you can place your root further out so that by the time the Zool root ends, your Entangling Roots has grown fast enough to hit him, which is what I did. I'm low mana and I want to make sure that I get a fountain, but I just wanted to get that root off. So Varian gets the kill. We get a root off on Muradin, but I'm low mana, so the only thing I can really do is toss auto attacks and a W. I want to go get a fountain right now before we get the objective. We get the objective, and I want to speed this game up a little bit. So I'm going to move up, speed this up until the next objective, and then I want to get into the second game. I don't want this video to be too long, but Malfurion is a complicated hero, so I will add in a lot of stuff later. Alright, so in this situation, Chromie's going to die, but we have an objective spawning. I placed a root in the only direction that Garrosh could go, and my root ended up creating a treant that killed Garrosh. I figured that was kind of funny. By the way, most kills on team. Most kills in game, right? That is the power of carrying with Malfurion and just doing roots at good times. I'm getting out healed by a Stukov, but that's kind of irrelevant when I'm getting this many kills. This game, the Vengeful Root starts adding up. Alright, so with the next objective, right? So when you get to an objective where you have to sit on it for a long period of time, I usually recommend having Malfurion sit on it because you can toss regrowths out, as well as you can walk down, toss a regrowth out, and walk back up, and you're fine, right? But Diablo needs to stay in the fight for a long period of time. So I usually recommend, which I believe I called in voice chat, I said, hey, I'll sit on the objective, you go out and fight. I throw out a regrowth because I see that a fight is going to be starting soon, so I want to start rotating the regrowths off before the fight. Again, just getting quick regrowths off. Okay. We got stunned. I saw that Zool had a slow on him, so I used the Nature's Cure to get rid of the slow so that Zool could get up and maybe initiate on one of these two people. I landed an E, which rooted these two. I mainly did it just because I didn't want them jumping in on us while we were taunted from Garrosh. So it was more defensive than anything else. Okay. I see 3 of them down here, 4 of them down here. I'm safe to poke up here. And with Odin, he has a ginormous hitbox. I mean, Tychus himself has a big hitbox. I don't know if Odin actually increases the size, but I can get free W's off this entire time. I already have 3 regrowths going. So I can just keep poking him all day long. So I go up in a place that's safe. I go down here because I see that, what's her name? Chromie's going to take a lot of damage. So I immediately move down, and my entire goal now is to save Chromie. So I get a W off that's safe. I get another W off to just make sure that she's okay. And I decide he's already used his leap. He's already used his thing. I don't need to use a root. However, a root would guarantee a kill on Muradin. So I decide to go with a root back here to see if I can zone out the enemy team. This fight is starting to look really bad. It's best for us to refresh around here. When you're playing Malfurion, you can heal people up in between fights really well, so I highly recommend telling people to back out if you feel that everyone's getting low, because you can reset fights really well. I use a Twilight Dream on 2 people, and they were the only 2 people who can initiate the kill. Well, not the kill, but initiate on the rest of us. This Zool is definitely dead. There's nothing I can do. But I use a silence that it stops them from doing anything. And with Twilight Dream, you can use it either for the damage or you can use it for the silence. I often use it more for the silence than I use it for the damage. As you'll see in the pro game that I'll do later, it's definitely something that you want to look at. Alright, I hit the fountain so that I don't need to keep regrowths on myself and I can focus on regrowthing other people. remember, he just got stunned here. I want to get closer to here so I can root to guarantee that he's dead. All right? I don't want to root where he is. I want to root where he's going to go. As you saw, I rooted where he's going to go, which he died. So it doesn't really matter. By the way, I got the kill on Tychus. Which, actually, hold on. I want to go back on this Tychus for a second, and I want to see how I got this kill. Alright, so Tychus is back there. Let's speed up. I poke over there. I go to save Chromie. Alright, so Tychus got really low from these. Tychus is low here, and I have a Treant, guys. The value of the Angry Broccoli. Treant did 159 damage, finishing off Tychus. So the Treant has value, and because of that Treant, Stukov couldn't keep anyone healed. Because of this, Stukov dies. I mean, again, they're all just simple plays, guys. Simple plays add up, though. So you saw that I was playing a lot more aggressive, and I was getting a lot more kills on Malfurion in a plat game. And I was, like, again, down here, I knew exactly how much damage I could do. But I wouldn't do that in a pro game because sometimes I'm not the best person. You know what I mean? Sometimes I can look at a fight, and if they jump in, they might know something I don't. So in low rank games, I can play a little bit more aggressive because I know both heroes. I know how much damage they can do. That's what I want to do. I'm not going to show the rest of this game. I will say that we win, and I get a lot more kills for the rest of the game. But I do want to show another game, get past, it wasn't a coaching game, it was this one. And I want to share my stats before I go into this game. Just particularly, I mean, I'm Master 2700 right now, not that exciting. But particularly, I want to show my Malfurion in Hero League. This season, I had a 59% win rate with Malfurion. He was my second highest played hero. Actually, he was my highest played hero this season. And then in last season, I had a 71% chance, or 71% win on him. And yeah, I want to prove to you guys that he is my most played hero in Hero League. So the next game that I want to show you is with pro players, and it was a ranked game. Everyone was taking it seriously. It was pretty early on the season, which meant that everyone was taking their rank very seriously, trying to get up to Grandmasters as fast as possible. Because the longer you wait to get to Grandmasters, the harder it is to get it. So everyone was playing as good as they could, and we were having a rough time early in the game. So I'm going to zoom past it a little bit early and kind of go from there. Let me turn down the volume just a little bit. And what is this at right now? We're at 37 minutes. Yeah, I can do this pretty quick. All right, so I'm going to turn down the volume because it's always loud at the beginning of these games, and I'm just going to fast forward for a little bit. So everyone's freaking out because if on the enemy team we have Tomster from No Tomorrow, we have Peekaboo, who was a high Grandmasters last season, we have Penox, who was a like top 30 Grandmaster last season, as well as Hacho, who is a I want to say top 50 Grandmaster last season, as well as on our season we didn't have that many Grandmasters. Also, we had a few unknown people as well, so they were a little concerned to see the unknown people. I was banning over both of the people as I had a really high win rate at the beginning of the season. I was sitting at like a 75% win rate in Masters with pro players at the beginning of the season, and it kind of evened out as I played a little bit more Hero League. But so I was banning over most people, and you'll see some comments later on about how an unknown named person was banning over them. But it's just simply because I only play at the beginning of seasons usually, so my name doesn't get out, and I don't play professionally. So that's definitely something to consider. Early game, I pretty much just play safe. I don't really want to do anything, and this also leads into one of the best combos with Malfurion right now is divers. I didn't mention that in the beginning, and I will try to maybe... I don't know if I want to edit this in there in the beginning because it's very important on who you should draft him with. But right now, Malfurion can kind of be drafted with anyone. However, if there is a Tracer on your team or a Genji, he's amazing with, because you can toss a healing over time on Tracer, and she can jump into the back line, take damage, and still get healed, which is kind of what that looks like. She can play a lot more aggressive because she has a healing over time on her. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. The early game is rough. And this is also what I want to show you guys. I want to show you that even in Masters, there is comebacks in this game. You can lose pretty hard in the beginning. We lost the top objective, we lost most of the middle objective, and we died early on. We're losing the early game, right? And I just really wanted to show this to you guys because you can lose hard in the beginning and still be fine. So the enemies hit level 10 before us. We're still making callouts. We're trying to do our due diligence. And we get stomped bottom lane even after we hit level 10. We get completely destroyed. So, I'm going to continue speeding this up. And this is about where the game starts shifting, alright? So let me get on myself, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. And remember, guys, this is with pro players. We have people who, we've got Tomster, right? But we also have, on our team, LCD currently is probably the best Alex Straza that is on Hero League. He's sitting at, I think, 116 Grandmaster. We have Grizz, who's sitting at, I believe, like 90 Grandmaster. And Geo, who's pretty high up in Grandmaster as well. So, this whole game is full Grandmaster players, and honestly, I think everyone in this game is Grandmaster right now, except for myself, because I stopped playing before the Grandmaster leaderboards came out, and they all continued playing. So I believe everyone in this game is Grandmaster except for myself. And I probably am a Grandmaster player if I just continued playing, or if I stopped blaming my teams, because everyone knows it's my teams that's holding me back. Yeah, so this is when we start turning it around. I keep regrowths on 3 people. And again, the people that I chose are very particular. I chose 1 tank, and I chose 1 dive hero tracer, and 1 person who needed healing. Remember, that's my rule, and that's not everyone's rule. Everyone has their different rules for Q, but that's what I like, is 1 tank, 1 dive hero, and then one person who just needs healing. So I get Qs off on everyone. I'm making sure that I'm getting my Ws off. I use a giant root here, and the reason that I do it here is because they had 2 directions that they could go, and I wanted to try to get the best of both worlds. And I did go, by the way, you see, I did go with a few different talents this time. So I didn't go with Nature's Cure because the only slows and stuns that they had are very quick slows and stuns, which means that this wouldn't help at all at level 7. And I didn't go with Vengeful Roots, and my reasoning was because Rhaegar has W, his Lightning Shield will kill the Treant very quickly on accident. Alright, so I get in the movement speed, and I'm positioning myself so that I might be able to land another route if we continue chasing. My next regrowth needs to go on Valera, but likely this fight is already pretty bad. So I need to land a route that saves my team. Right here would be the best place to place a route. And we get a Gust instead, which is perfectly fine. Let me speed up this game a little bit so we can get... yeah, and of course, remember, I was banning, and I believe I banned Maiev first, and then Genji on my second roll around, and they were upset that Garrosh got through. And also LCD is a support main, and I picked first Malfurion, so naturally he's a little bit upset. But take it as constructive criticism, right? He says noob banning over a pro. That's a interesting way of saying, hey, I don't really like your ban choices, and I'm going to tell you in the middle of a game. But don't put it against him. Again, when you see an unknown person banning over you, you assume something's usually wrong. So level 13, I go with Ice Block. I'm just going to say that right now. I don't remember this game, but I know I go with Ice Block. He gets caught, but don't... Again, this is a great fight for us. There's only 2 of them showing up, and we have all 5 of us in the vicinity. So if I land a good route here, which I can't do it immediately on Garrosh because he's unstoppable, but that will end soon, I just need to get a couple regrowths off so I get faster than Garrosh, and he's guaranteed dead here. Now, this fight got awkward very quickly. As you can see, we are now surrounded, and the enemies are in a really good position. So, Unless I land the perfect Twilight Dream, we are screwed. So I get regrowths off on a couple people, and I start backing off because I don't want to have to put another regrowth on myself. I put a root where Tychus was going to go. I do a Twilight Dream because I want to guarantee that he dies. And we move on this fight. Alright? I get a Q off on Tracer in case she wants to go back into the fight. But I want to focus on getting the temples first. So I want to get another Q and an Innervate off. And then I want to immediately start heading to get the temples. We need to value the temples very strong because we don't have anything here, which means if they get bottom temple, they get a keep, right? And we have walls here, so this temple's not as important, but it's still very important. So I want to get most of the damage off of this temple before we leave. But you'll see that I'm watching the fight pretty intently, and I keep tossing down Qs, and I tell them, hey, I'm going to get the temple. This is something you can do too when you're in these types of games. You can say, hey guys, I'm going to get this temple. If you need healing, come down to this bush, and I'll heal you. However, I'm not liking the looks of this fight right now, so I may end up walking up there. We get a kill, I decide, hey, we should be fine. But I do want to get some healing off. As you can see, Arthas is back there. This is very important, guys. If you saw what I just did, I put a regrowth on Arthas first. And then I casted my W. And now watch the healing that happens. My W hits, I believe, only one person. Yeah, it hits a wall and it hits Garrosh. But this alone helps us be able to turn this fight. I didn't want to commit long enough to get a better route, but I do want to get back so that we can continue getting this. Because, again, I'm valuing this very, very high. Because if I don't get this, they get a keep, which means that they're always ahead. So, you can continue winning this. Like, we lost both of our team, and that's okay. And it's okay because I didn't want to lose a keep, and I don't believe I could have saved anyone else in there. I already had regrowths going. I place a root just to slow him down, and I just want to immediately get out. I think Valeera can get out because she has this, so she can simply go up here. I need to focus on myself here. So I have a regrowth on myself, so I move 4% faster than the enemies. My root's up in 75. I'll likely want to get 1 or 2 W's off just so I get the healing. But remember that W has a cast time, so if I stop to W, they're gaining distance on me. But I move faster than them with regrowth, so as long as I can get away, I'm okay. I place an E. I do a W quickly to see if I could hit both of them to get a burst heal on myself. And then I place an E directly on myself as they have to move straight towards me if they want to catch me. And moving straight towards me means that the E will cause them to get rooted. And I get out. So what I did alone on my team was saved the keep as well as kept myself alive for when my team revives, I'm ready to fight again. It's a small play, but in Masters, the fewer mistakes you make, the more likely you are to carry the game. And what I mean by carrying in Masters is when I was carrying in lower ranks, I was getting root after root, which is leading to kill after kill after kill, and a lot of those kills I was getting by myself. But in Masters, you can see I'm just making fewer mistakes, right? I'm doing more healing than their support, I'm doing more damage than their support, and my goal is to lead to as many kills if necessary. So you can see that it's all about small things that you're doing to lead up to the win, right? So I get regrowths off first. I want to make sure that I can get everyone full health. And my Qs are doing quite a bit right now because I have the talent that makes them to where they last longer. So I want to get regrowths off on a few people. I don't see a fight incoming anytime soon. So I'm going to let them leave because when you're doing this, there's no point in having 4 people sit up here for no reason. So I sit up here because I already got my regrowths off. I just put 1 on myself so I can survive the damage from this. And I watch till this times out. I edge down at the bottom of it so that as it times out, I'm ready to go. It times out, and I leave. We have a strong wave pushing top and no towers up there, which is going to split up the enemy team most likely. And they're likely going to go for this camp, or this keep. I make the call of going towards boss, as boss is going to be up in 40 seconds. So all of us start preparing for boss. I take this safe path, and again, in Masters, guys, you need to take safe paths. You can't just body check anything. So I could have met my team by going straight down, but you saw I went all the way over here, because if I went straight down, I would have died, because they could have been in that bush. They happen to be hiding in that bush, but again, in Masters, you can't take any chances. So we want to get this so that we can distract them from boss. We have Mighty Gust, so we definitely want to make the boss call. However, we're down one player, so we have to play it very, very cautiously. Tracer took a lot of damage. I got a Q off. And again, LCD, while it seemed like he got caught there and it was really bad, you need to remember that he's a support main. He doesn't play a lot of Lyra. And he's a very good support main. I think he's better at Alexstrasza than I am. I definitely think he's better at Alexstrasza than I am. And Alexstrasza is one of my favorite supports too, so that's saying something. He's a very good player. Alright, we want to clear this fast, and most likely they're going to go for boss, so we definitely want to clear it fast. I use my W every time it's up, because it's just extra damage and it costs almost no mana. But I make the call out that they're going to boss right now, so I let the enemies clear it, and this is very risky. I'm going in alone. What? Do I really want to go into this bush? No. This was a bad call. So, but I'm trying to show my team where I'm going, and I made the call out numerous times over voice comms. I don't want to go into this bush because that's where Valeera just died, so I want to make sure that Arthas goes in first. I do a W just to reveal because it's a pretty long range right now. Again, who do I go for Q first, right? I like to Q the tank first, then the ranged, but I might go with ranged first. We'll see. Okay, tank first, then the dive heroes next. So I don't want to fight until that dive hero gets a regrowth on her. So, are you ready? Oh, come on. Do it correctly. Oh, I didn't do it correctly. But, yeah, I did. There you go. So I got the Q off on the Tracer. Now, here's the time where I'm not doing this for damage. I'm doing this because if I can silence even 3 of these people, we immediately won this fight. I used a weird route because I was trying to get them caught, but again, this is going to be it. This is the win or lose right here. If they win this fight, they get boss. Boss pushes bottom, they win the game. If we get this fight, we get boss, we get at least a keep. We might not be able to win, but we at least get a keep. So I want to get a really good Twilight off here, and that's the only chance we have to survive this fight. I get a silence off on 2 people, maybe 3, but most likely just 2, which means that we can't get flipped. That percent health is going to kill her, as well as it means that Sonya won't be able to do anything over there. So we killed their tank. Their off tank's too low to do anything about it. I have regrowths on our tank, as well as our diver, so our diver can play really aggressive right now. I get a W just to help finish him off. I'm positioning myself so that if they end up trying to kill this boss quickly, we already used Gust. I want to make sure that I'm on this. So you can see I'm positioning more towards the boss. I could position to where I could get an E off and kill Tychus, but remember, I already have a heal on our diver, so she can go nuts. So I want to focus on the boss right now. So essentially, with my play alone, I made this fight a victory. If I was playing any other hero, this would have been a loss. Alright, so we decide we have the boss. We want to get a camp as well. I recommend that we hold off on this because I want to get value off of the boss. But we also don't want the enemies to get this either. So we may send one person back. I don't remember. This was a little while back. Again, we go for this for free. It's a full health boss. We recommend ending it, but I always don't like ending unless I can get 2 kills. Or, like, if you have a boss that's full health and it's past level 20, it's a free end, but I don't want to end because I want to make sure that we have a couple kills. They're playing aggressive. I'm going to speed this game up a little bit. We don't go for the end. We go for the shrines, or the temples. We got a kill on Tychus that went down there. I rooted him. He unstoppable the Gust, which is really strong. But I see that a root is there. I have 2 of those. I need to land a root or a Twilight, and we win the game right here. So what do? I land a root, and we win the game. It's as simple as that. So that's Malfurion. I want to keep this video under an hour long, so if you guys have any other tips for Malfurion, you can throw it in the comments below. This is how I carried to Masters the last 2 seasons, by playing a boatload of Malfurion and just making sure that I'm rooting where people are going, leading to kills, using Twilights to win team fights, as well as Twilights to quickly finish off enemies. Don't undervalue hitting Twilight just to kill one person, because it's still very valuable and it's usually a kill. So that is how to carry to Masters with Malfurion. If you have any other questions or any other builds that you would like me to explain about Malfurion, I can definitely do that. But this is the ultimate guide on how to carry to Masters with Malfurion, showing 2 games, one in a lower rank, one in a higher rank, as well as the build that I recommend. I might add in something later explaining what I recommend drafting Malfurion on, but until he gets nerfed again, you can honestly draft Malfurion into anything, as that's what the pros are currently doing. They're drafting him into literally everything. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, you like the style that I do, feel free to subscribe. Again, any extra tips you want to add about Malfurion, throw it in the comments below. And if you have any other questions, throw it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and if you happen to watch to the end, I am honestly grateful that you guys were able to watch through almost an hour-long tutorial video. And you guys are truly my favorite fans. I love everyone, but the people who can go through and watch about an hour long, honestly, it amazes me. So thank you very much, and yeah, I mean, feel free to add me in game if you lasted this long. Honestly, my name in game is not Paradox. #1815. Feel free to add me. I don't really mind. You guys just watched an hour-long video. That's the least I could do. Thank you.